teacher. And so when folk want to lift up Thomas Jefferson and the rest of these founders as some paragons of virtue when they were blatant racists, it is a major misnomer. It is just outright a laugh in the pits of hell to suggest that black folk was introduced to Jesus when they came to America, introduced to Jesus by white folks. I mean, that's just a lie from the pits of hell.
Talking about it, that students are they're digital consumers, not necessarily digital learners. Live music, enclave, some late night group encounter with friends over a meal. There's probably more gospel being preached there than in a church on Sunday morning.
Absolutely.
So what I think the pandemic has given us permission to know that we don't have to be prisoners to a particular worship experience. Our ancient African ancestors understood that worshiping God could happen within nature, anywhere.
A filmmaker named Spike Lee is trying to get in touch with you. I'm doing this movie, and I want to open up with a montage of images, and I want you to put that montage together. So when you see School Day, realize that you can research your ancestors, both post-Reconstruction and pre-Reconstruction. Let me back up. Each of you, all of us have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, 32 great-great-great-grandparents, 64 great-great-great-great-grandparents, 128 great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, 256, and the number goes on. We come from so many people. We have enough people that we descend from to draw strength from on any day of the week. Any day. My house.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Timely Wisdom, where we discuss everything we can and you join in with us, all right? Well, I tell you, Dr. Wright, what's going on in your neighborhood?
It's cold outside. I don't know what Mother Nature is thinking about. We had 70 degrees yesterday. I watched people running around in shorts. I said, you so dumb. But anyway, my grandmother used to say it's pneumonia weather when fools and babies die. Fools because they strip too soon, and babies because they don't know no better. Well, I saw a bunch of fools outside yesterday running around in wife beater t-shirts, and I'm going, this ain't gonna last, y'all. But anyway, other than that, we doing pretty good. It's 27 today, from 70 to 27
in Texas. Hello there, Sister Natalie. How you doing? Come on in the room. Come on in, Timely Wisdom Room. We are excited to have you today. Dr. Wright is saying that it's cold where she is, in Missouri. It is cold.
Yes.
Well, it's getting there in Texas. It'll be about 27 tonight, and it's supposed to snow tomorrow. But hey, it is what it is. Bipolar weather here in Texas. Dr. Wallace, how you doing?
I've never heard bipolar weather, but that's okay. Because it is crazy. This weather is very crazy. We are doing wonderful. We're supposed to be warm weather the rest of the week, and then it's supposed to rain, and then we're gonna get what you all are sending to us from the west. So now, and we're hoping that that cold stream just moves just a little bit to the west and keep going on up to DC area and miss us all together. That's what we're hoping. But
okay.
We're doing wonderful.
Things into existence. Okay. Okay.
We're doing wonderful. Trying to get ready for Faith in Action in DC Coalition starting next week. So going to talk with some of the legislators about our democratic agenda of maintaining Georgia as a blue state.
Yes.
Doing what we can do.
Hello there, Dr. Hamilton Scott. Good to see you. You know, our sister is in the air at this moment, and we're saying, "Hey, get back home safely." We're excited about what God is doing in your life, what you're doing, and how God is moving through your life to help so many people. I wanted to bring something up. I don't know if you've seen it in the news or in social media. The cyberbullying, bullying toward Coach Sydney Carter. She is women's coach for Texas A&M, and she's curvaceous as most Black women are. And she is being ridiculed and criticized for what she is wearing. She wore some bad pink pants. I mean, bad pink pants. Pink is not my color, but they look great.
Beautiful pink pants.
But it looks great on my sister. And my sister, not only did she look great in these pants, everything that she wears, she looks great in. So she's been, hey there, Yomi, how you doing? She has been ridiculed for wearing pink pants. But I also saw that other coaches were trying to do the same thing. So what is it that you want to do? Do you want to talk about me or be like me?
Mm-mm.
What is it that you want to do? I've seen so much. Oh, why does she have to wear this? And why does it have to be so tight? Do you want her pants falling off of her? Talk to me. What say ye?
You know what, Dr. Bradford, many times when people talk about other people, it's to draw the attention away from themselves. They're hating on themselves more than they hating on her. They don't like who they are. They don't like how they're built. I celebrate her. I'm saying, go ahead, young lady, do the doggone thing. If you can wear it, wear it.
That's it.
Me personally had a hostile takeover. My butt got mad and became my belly. But anyway, I'm working on that. You know, in the midst of it all, got it, rock that back. Rock it, sweetie.
Yeah,
Dr. Wright. Dr. Wright. Dr. Burns gonna kill you next week. That's what she gonna.
I cannot with you, but I'm excited about what God is doing. Even in this space, we're able to be who God has called us to be, no matter the size, or lack thereof, or whatever you want to say, Dr. Wright. No matter the color, God is doing some great things in our lives. So, hey, be who you are. And that's what she said. I am going to be who I am while I'm here, period.
And it's unfortunate that somebody would try to make her feel like she needs to apologize. Why do you need to apologize for being young, gifted, beautiful, and black?
How about that?
Thank you. And curvy. Don't just add curvy. And curvy.
Yes.
Well, so you have a fabulous guest today. Dr. Wright, Dr. Wallace, would you introduce our guest today?
I am very honored to introduce Coach Andre Deas. He is the current president and board chair for the DeKalb County chapter of 100 Black Men of America Incorporated. Coach Deas loves to be called Coach, and he is highly regarded and committed to youth development and community service. His entrepreneurial skills allowed him to make a difference in Starbucks Coffee Company, Burger King Corporation, and Magic Johnson Enterprises, and as a leader here in the Atlanta area. His love of sports, particularly soccer, led to an impressive collegiate soccer career of his own. Again, he is spirited and has led the Jaguar Soccer Club of the South DeKalb YMCA to many, many partnerships and winnings. Dr. Deas, as I shall call him today, seems to follow his passion for sports and youth as he oversaw recreational programming, including soccer, basketball, volleyball, tennis, and we've just got to talking about basketball, karate, cheerleading, and baseball. He is often heard saying, our children, hear me now, our children should not have to leave their communities to enjoy quality programming or to play on an elite level of teams. How about that? He was also responsible for resourcing and resource development and community outreach for the YMCA. He is now serving as not only the 100 Black Men president of DeKalb, but the national liaison for chapter presidents. Let us welcome Coach Andre Deas, who has 3 beautiful sons who are also doing what they need to do in America. I love it.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you so much, Dr. Wallace, Dr. Bradford, Dr. Wright. Glad to be here with you all.
Wonderful.
Good to have you.
It is a privilege to have you, Coach.
Yeah.
And we always appreciate anyone who is taking the time to invest in our young people. Right now, that is truly what they need.
Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, we got several questions for you, but Dr. Bradford, you want to ask that first all-time question we always ask?
We always ask our guests because there's so much going on in these COVID streets. So we want to ask you, Coach Deas, how you doing in these COVID streets?
I'm doing fine. I haven't been struck by the COVID bug. I've been vaccinated, have traveled out the country probably twice during that time period. But ultimately, it really is not about me. It's very much about the community that we serve. We've in the beginning, we've always started with the process of testing, and we partnered with New Birth Missionary Baptist Church with Pastor Jamal Bryan, and we went over to New Life, which is another big operation or church that we've did some COVID testing with. Partnered with the county government, the CEO of our county, Mr. Michael Thurman, and also have done some things with the commissioners and so forth. So it's not really been about me. It's really been about, really taking care of the community. We've given out food at the middle schools. When school was out, we were there every Tuesday and Wednesdays, giving out boxes of food to those that were in need and those kids. We were also given some CARES Act money during that time period, and we were able to serve over 65 families to kind of help them not get evicted or go behind on their mortgages. So we paid some mortgages, we paid some rent, we paid utility bills, and we provided food. And during that time period, we had Thanksgiving and Christmas, and served over 1,000 plus families during Thanksgiving with turkeys and so forth. And then also during Christmas, we helped about 275 families with some gifts and so forth. So and that's been back-to-back years. You know what I'm saying? We partnered with NAACP on the Thanksgiving piece, and then the Christmas piece we did a lot with the commissioners and did some personal pieces with the schools that we serve here in DeKalb County.
Wait a minute. Can we all just take it? Can we all just exhale?
Yeah.
He one of the hardest working Black men in America that I know.
Come on here, just like their sisters, NCBW sisters. Come on here.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dr. Wallace.
Doing it. Thank you so much for being here, Coach Deas. And our audience is made up of all from across the spectrum. But as you probably heard backstage, we've been talking about the coach at Texas A&M.
Right.
And you are a coach. So talk to us for just a minute about what you think about the cyberbullying that's taking place all across these social media platforms against Sidney Carter.
And ultimately, the cyberbullying piece is very significant. It's just unbelievable. I can tell you of so many times being in a sport that I love, that kind of paved my life in regards to soccer. You understand that that's a sport that is very much not for it was like a Black or African American playing soccer and coaching a team of all African American kids, taking them to different states from South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, and some of the the different parts of it. And sometimes I felt bullied, but you always try to figure out how to take the high road. Before they said that before Michelle, Miss Michelle Obama said when they go low, we go high. She gave me an acronym at that point in time. I never knew that. I tried to, I did that, before that, what I'm saying, where people come up to you and say, it's just the way they say it. I can give you one quick story is, a guy said, we had this kid, man, I seen you guys come. We was down in Panama City Beach, Florida. Only Black organization down there. We probably had about 75 to 100 kids down there, different, probably respective of 4 to 5 different teams of only Black and brown kids, boys and girls. And the guy said, "Oh man, when I seen y'all come up, we had this little young man named JT used to play for us." I said, JT, okay, who's JT? He's like, JT, man, he was the best kid on our team. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, JT was the best team on our team. He was like, yeah, he was fast. And he said, when I had to go tell the other coaches, said, you know what? That team that just came down, it's a bunch of JTs. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a different, it's not, instead of you saying, what you really want to say, you calling us a bunch of JTs. So instead of we being natives or, African American kids, you calling us a bunch of JTs. So the bullying piece is real. I think that we just kind of have to continue to, I don't know what the climate has changed to. I think with our past president, who I would not name, has kind of given people the energy to be able to say what they want to say or try to, say things that, traditionally wasn't, of politically being correct. So, I really don't have a major comment on that, but that's kind of where I'm at with, with that. I just kind of move along. I try to ignore them, and I'm gonna be who I am in my skin.
All right.
Well, I want to chime in on that because you shared that story about the JTs, and as you were sharing that story, my mind was reflecting on the fact that you have a governor or a political official that said he didn't want the white children to feel some kind of way about hearing about slavery and things in the past of people of color. But you call us JTs. I got something I want to call you.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
But I need to stay on the air.
Right.
Okay.
It's okay for us to be uncomfortable.
Right.
But the moment they think they feel uncomfortable, and the truth of the matter, you can't make anybody feel anyway. People choose to feel the way they feel. Right. And it's their decision. So if a child says I'm uncomfortable, it isn't because of anything someone else said. It's about them. Right. And that's what I think Dr. Wright was saying earlier, is that it's not about Coach Carter. It's about the folk talking about Coach Carter, because it's their problem. It's not her problem. She doesn't have a problem. So I love it. I love it. I was going to ask you, Coach Deas, about the notable accomplishments of 100 Black men of DeKalb, but when we asked you about COVID, man, you just went all in. So
we got more to tell. We got a bigger story to tell. You know what I'm saying? Right. But at the end of the day, under my administration, my term will end January of 23. I just really wanted to change the trajectory in regards to what we are looked upon in our community. And our community was looked upon as, kind of elitist, and we're not involved and so forth. And so I really want to change that. And, first of all, getting involved with the commissioners, like you said, with our local commissioners, our local county government, and then also being on we end up getting a African-American female superintendent in the county at the time. And she's been here. She asked me to be on her advisory board. So we've always been very intimately involved in the school system for the past 25 plus years. But we were very intentional and very deliberate. Some of their at-risk schools, we went in with the ROTC. Maybe those kids are not going to go to college. So maybe, this ROTC grant that I may have, I can be able to take 50 of your kids from this school, 50 of this from this school, and let's do a college tour with the ROTC. And they were able to kind of, let the kids see that, you still can go to college, but ROTC may be the way that you need to go. some of our other schools, the drone programs. We put out the resources for some of the middle schools, schools, and we're very successful with that. So, without me going on and on, we just got a grant for $100,000 from Amazon and our national office, just from a conversation. And they pulled me down to the Marriott Marquis, and I didn't know I walked in this room and I said, well, y'all gonna split the money. I said, we could do more with, and I wasn't trying to be selfish, but we have about 4 other chapters outside of myself in the Atlanta metropolitan area, because we're such a urban city. They wanted to split $100,000. I was like, I think we could do more for them. And Atlanta's always looked at our Atlanta chapter is looked at as the kind of the show horse, and I call us the workhorse. And so we walked in that room. We came back a few days later. They said, hey, we're gonna give all the money to you guys, and so we're gonna take some kids over to Savannah and Charleston, and we're gonna deal with social injustice, some public policy stuff, and some historical pieces. We're gonna go to the ports in Savannah. We're gonna do the Gulf Stream, which does the G4, the private jets, and do some aeronautical engineering pieces. Like I said, then we'll do a tour of Savannah State, and then we'll go to Charleston and do the some of the some of the historical values there, and then we'll. I do have family that's tied to Mother Emanuel. My cousin is the lead or the senior musician over at Mother Emanuel AME Church, and so we'll go. So we'll do. We're gonna continue to do work, like I said, in these labs. I told them, I'm not tired yet, but by the time I get to January 1, 23, I'll say my work is done, and these 3 years have been. Very much we've put this chapter not just on a local level but on a national level. We're looked upon as a real leader amongst this organization, and it's not just because I do lead the national organization as a president or oversee all the presidents of the country, but it's also just just a passion. In regards to let's do the right thing. What I'm saying? So.
Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
What are you gonna do if they reelect you?
No, I don't know. I have a partner and a significant other that probably would not allow that.
Oh, that piece right there.
Yeah, they like the perks. They like the perks. They don't like the work. It's time for me to sit down. I'm gonna sit in the corner. I think I've we've been around. Our chapter's been around 30 years, and it's been a huge pleasure in regards to. And some of the men that I run across, the Thurber Baker, so the Honorable Thurber Baker is a member of our chapter, and for the pleasantries that they give you, and the tap on the shoulders and the calls that they give you, and we have a number of very influential men that are part of this chapter that you don't see them every day, but just my Rolodex has grown a lot larger since being the president. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for that shout out to your significant other, because we are some of the hardest working women.
Oh, no doubt.
In the kingdom.
No doubt. You all are. You know what I'm saying? And you put up with a lot. You know what I'm saying? Somebody calling you at 8 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you're like, hold on, I'm calling. You know what I'm saying? You have to. Do I need to? And they'll say, answer it. And then you answer it. You be like, I didn't know it's gonna be that long. But baby, it was commissioner such and such, or it was CEO such and such, or what I'm saying. But that don't matter, what I'm saying. So then you gotta, and you might be about to go to dinner, but get whatever you want,
Come on with the perks. I'm with it.
Yeah, I'm with the perks too, girl. I'm with the perks. The perks. Talk to us about how you first got started in your community activism, community leadership. How did you get started in this?
Well, that's a good one. I would tell you, we moved here from Miami when I was probably 7 or 8 years of age, and I got involved in soccer and so forth, but. I wasn't the best student, what I'm saying? And sometimes, you have to, that's why I really look at the kids that not are the best students. My mother, I'll say both of my parents were very much involved in school, PTA presidents and so forth, but it wasn't really about me. My sister was right behind me, so they were like, "Who's your child?" They would try to say, that little girl right there. Oh yeah, he go here too. But anyway, but that was probably the start. Man, when I played soccer, my dad coached a couple of times, but I always looked upon soccer really taught me a lot. I played soccer in the South DeKalb community, and I was plucked out of it because I excelled. I won't say it. I'll take a word from Joseph Lowry. I ain't bragging. I was just good. You know what I'm saying? And he came to our school one time. I always remembered that. And it was a white team that came and kind of got me, and they showed me I ain't gonna say they showed me the world, but they showed me a lot in regards to what was going on. And so I always never really understood what that was until I got into college and I got hurt, and I saw what my coach did. And I even kind of look back on what my dad and my mom them did, and that was kind of what started it. When I got out of college, I had my first son. I wanted to bring him back, and I stayed in a county that was fairly white county, and I wanted to bring my son back to the community that I grew up in and played in. And so that's kind of where it started out with that little soccer program. My son was on my neck, and I was coaching other people's kids at that time period. And, the rest is it became, just, you really kind of started seeing what the challenges and I was blessed to have both my parents around me, but you start seeing some of the stories, you start hearing some of the stories. And then as you work through your corporate life, working through the ranks of, Burger King and Starbucks and so forth, and hear some of the stories, kids I took home one time, the guy wanted me to drop him off at the house. He's like, "Well, before you take me home, Mr. Deas, can you take me by this place here? Because his brother and sister were in foster care." And it was he had like a baby brother and a baby sister. And I took him by there, and this kid was like in 11th grade, 12th grade, worrying about where his brother and sister was. And that kind of, that it was like, what do you do? What can you do? And I think that, being around the likes of, I don't talk it lightly. I don't call Magic Johnson. I call him Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson was a very huge impact on my life. I sat in a limousine with him one day, and he was like, you're working a lot for these folks. You should do something for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And, just, those small conversations, whether we're in a hotel room or certain things, I credit Mr. Johnson, my father, my mother, Howard Schultz. People don't get, a black man like me don't get to meet people that I've met in my life. Howard Schultz is, Caucasian, Jewish, white man that started Starbucks, was like Andre. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sitting in a car with him, and, he just, his passion, his charisma, I would probably give him a lot of credit. If I ever wrote a book, I'd probably give him a huge amount of credit with the time that I interacted with him, in regards to his passion and his desire to help people. So, we were remiss to talk about coaches that you played for and so forth, but we don't have, I know we don't have enough time, but I could give y'all a lift. Every one of those guys I can give you a story on, or give you 15-minute conversation about those gentlemen. And again, I probably don't talk about it enough, and I probably should, because the kids don't really know who those they know who Magic Johnson is, but Howard Schultz, to be in the room with those guys and some of the presidents I've been around. One of my mentors, Columbus Vines, was the vice president at Hardee's, and just some people I just had to run across. What I'm saying? He's an African American guy that you sit there and you hear stories, and he's like, what, I want to do that. What I'm saying? I got to do it, and I got to do something more.
Coach Deas, hearing your story about the president of Starbucks, and I wish more people could hear your story about the president of Starbucks, and change the narrative or the stigmas that's going on through Starbucks now. What did they do? Close for a day for diversity training. But to hear your story, a lot of that is not translating or even filtering down through the organization. Right. But I wish you could share that story with others, so people would really know who the president is and how he loved on the community and through you.
Right. And I'll tell you this one quick story, but they wanted me to be the national director of urban coffee for North America. So, you know, if you understand, that's a huge word. You know what I'm saying? And you know, with charges, you know, comes reality. I had to talk to mentors and so forth, and you know, at that time, I was, you know, married at the time. You know, she had a career as well. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, this is the big banana boat. I'm not moving. They wanted me to move to Seattle. I mean, the president of Starbucks of North America at the time, Howard, was still the CEO, but they was like, this is the guy. You know what I'm saying? And that was an opportunity that personally I had to turn down just because from a family decision, because women were starting to be a very significant part of the workforce, you know, in not just in everyday life, but in regular people's personal lives. You know what I'm saying? Whereas my parents or my dad and his friends, the women kind of followed the men wherever they went, where was going on. And that was, you know, that was very significant. I mean, you know, like I said, it was a very unique time, very, very fun times. And you know, sometimes you look back on it like, why did I do it? But then, you know, I look back at it now and say, I'm fine and I'm happy. You know, I'm still good.
Oh, that's awesome. You have a comment that you call your quote, and it's about children. It's about our youth. You say, what they see is what they'll be.
Yeah.
And so can you help our audience understand how they might get involved, especially with not just with children from underserved communities, but sometimes our children who have come from good homes make poor decisions. So talk to us about how to help our parents and other leaders in the community work with our youth so that what they see is what they'll be.
Well, ultimately, the word is, and I can't say I've coined it, and that's something that we say at the 100 all the time is, you know, what they see is what they'll be. You know what I'm saying? Real men given real time, all those different, you know, quotations. But I will, because I know I'm on the phone I'm on the Zoom with a, you know, number of religious and spiritual and wonderful pastoral, ministerial women. Is, you know, my real quote is Isaiah 26:3. As long as I keep thy mind on thee,
oh Lord,
thou shalt be in everlasting peace. And that's what drove me. That's what is who. No, that's what that drives me to this day. You know what I'm saying? From the time I was in, you know, I left my parents' home to go to college till this day. That's one of the things I tell my kids the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but to what they see is what they'll be is very much about, you know, you never know who's watching you. You know what I'm saying? And I always have to tell everyone that you never know who's really taking a notice to you. And children are always childlike. You know, they always tell adults. And I tell some of my mentees, I say, when you're amongst, you know, mentors, sometimes you need to just be childlike and just listen or just watch. And ultimately, it probably goes all the way down to kids and middle schoolers and so forth. And they do the same thing, you know, and if you have to be able to understand, you know, whether you're in your household, in a business, you never know how people look at you, even in coaching. You know what I'm saying? I had to, you know, be very, you know, cognitive of that. You know, kids are always, when they do something or they making a certain, you know, move on the field, and they'll look back over to the sideline to look for approval. You know, and so in life, I say the same thing is whether we're at the Leadership Academy, we house about 85 kids every other weekend, you know, from different schools. And I tell the gentleman, I said, do not be that person. If you're going to come here, don't come here just to check the box, to say, you know what, I want to be able to say, hey, I was in the Leadership Academy, I'm with the 100. Be here because these kids are always seeing people walking in and out their lives every day. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you will be very, you wouldn't understand that some of them they get out their bed sometimes just because I want to go see Mr. Deas. I want to go see, Dr. Wallace. So I want to go see Dr. Wright. You know what I'm saying? So have to be very, and so I'm very, and so that's the culture that I feel that has made us stronger as an organization, but even as people and parents, they have to understand, if you're going to do this around your children are watching you, you know what I'm saying, in regards to, how you do, you know what I'm saying, and what you do. And you'll be surprised on what they regurgitate to you. Even my 3 boys, they 23, 19, 18. Some things they regurgitate to me from when they were, 11, 12, 13. I was like, really? You know what I'm saying? So, I would just tell them, just be very cognitive of the time and the space that you're in with your children.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Give our audience, if you don't mind, some tips around not just being on the sidelines and talking a good game, but how can they become active engagers in our children's lives, especially now that we have some of our kids are in gangs, they are doing drugs, they're just making some very poor decisions. So how can the everyday person get involved with our youth? Because it's our youth that we've got, and we're going to have to take them back. It's right. Not going to be the Schultz of the world or even the Magic Johnsons of the world. It's going to be us, everyday people that they see each and every day. Tell us how we might bring our kids back around.
That's a very good question, Dr. Wallace. Because it's so different, you know what I'm saying? And so I try to stay in touch with my children in regards to what's happening now and, the social media platform, because kids don't really talk anymore. So, even me, it's a challenge sometimes, even our leadership academy, we have middle schoolers and, sometimes you got to get to their level, you know what I'm saying? And try to see what that is. And we have a young man, I won't say his name, in our program. And unfortunately, he's an 11th grader. His father passed away from COVID. His mother was deceased prior to that. And it's a total of 8 of them. And he's the oldest of them. And so when you all I can do is give you an example. I can't really give you because I think all these kids are so different. You know what I'm saying? And this young man, he comes to the academy traditionally not looking like our traditional kid that comes to the academy. He'll come in with a bandana on his head, not necessarily a gang bandana. He wants to be a rapper. He'll have headphones on him. His grandmother and grandfather are raising him and his 4 brothers, and then they got another 4 that they're raising. And I said, just please don't stop. Whatever we need to do resource-wise, we'll continue. We feed them and so forth. And the young man, so me and him talked a few times, and everybody's kind of starting to gravitate to him. And then the grandfather finally told me, he was like, we're trying to look for counseling. We need some resources. And, I was trying to point him in the right direction. And finally, I just pulled all 4 of them to the side and said, you know what, as men, and I can only speak from a man's perspective. I respect what women do, but from a man's perspective to another young man, I had to tell him, say, hey, I said, we got to play with the cards we dealt sometimes. And I said, you don't understand. That's a hard pill to swallow being a 17-year-old. But I say, but you're the responsible one. I said, and, I still, people don't understand. I told him, Dr. Wallace some time ago when I was in college, they thought they were trying to make me a preacher. And I told him, I said, Lord going to have to wake me up and shake me, you know what I'm saying? And say, hey, you're going to be a pastor, you know what I'm saying? And it hadn't happened yet. But I told him, I said, you're the responsible, as a man, you're the responsible one. I said, God made you first. You know what I'm saying? And I said, he made you responsible. And I said, he told Eve not to eat that. He told Eve she could do whatever she wanted to. She told you not to do it. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to continue to be responsible. You know what I'm saying? And I said, you responsible for them. And I said, that's a hard pill for you to swallow right now. And I said, because now you got to be responsible for your 3 other brothers and they watching you. But I told them, I said, but all of y'all are responsible for each other because everybody going to have a bad day. You know what I'm saying? But again, these kids can kind of teeter between good and bad. You know what I'm saying? And I told them, but ultimately they're getting up every other week and coming to this event, to our leadership academy, which they were fighting for the first 2-3 times. They were, it was very defiant. But now I got their attention. Not just me, a number of men got their attention. And so back to your question is, we have to figure, you just have to figure out what's their thing. You know what I'm saying? What is it? All of them ain't bad. A lot of them run into the streets because they think, oh, my family is in the street because I don't have anybody, or I don't have this, I don't have that. So in this, each one teach one. How they say, you got to just find, one. And all we ain't gonna be able to get them all. You know what I'm saying? And we have to, and that's the reality, that you ain't gonna be able to get them all. But you're gonna be able to get one, and one gonna hear you. I got another one. You know what I'm saying? He texted me now. How you doing? Good morning, Mr. Deas. President Deas, how you doing? I said, what's up, K1? But K1 had a brother that was killed 3-4 years ago, murdered. But his mama really trying to, what's his name? But K1, he'll call me, text me, what's his name? And we went to the game. So people don't watch him. I went to a basketball. We took 45 kids to a basketball game. I said, did you enjoy the basketball game? He was like, yeah, Mr. D, I love the basketball game. He said, like, you was having fun too. And I was like, you was watching me? You know what I'm saying? And he was watching me. That's why I say you never know who's watching you. He said, you had a good time too. And I was like, okay, Q1. So, ultimately, I can't really give you like I'm not set in a situation where I could say 1, 2, 3, 4. All I could say from where I am and where I sit, being that kid that wasn't always on the up and up and all those different things that, we have to find somebody that's going to reach back or really invest in us or conversation with us and not go in and out of our lives.
Ooh, that's deep. It's about finding one, and it doesn't have to be all of them, but just one of them that will listen. And I really appreciate your sharing that. Sometimes we want to bite off more than we can chew, and try and impress upon a lot of children. Dr. Wright was telling us last week that QT was giving out money for if you're working with youth. So if telling our audience that there are places that you can find funding to help you work with youth, is one of the ways in which our not just our leaders but our parents can work with our youth. Thank you so much for that. I want you to brag a little bit about your son that plays professional soccer. Talk to us about your son that is in the league because his daddy coached soccer.
Right. Well, I mean, yes, he's my namesake. He's Andre Deas Jr. He's still, he hadn't made it to the MLS or the European League, but he is playing professional soccer. He's in Rochester, New York, as we speak right now. He just left about a week and a half ago. Their season starts in next month, I think the second week of March. But prior to that, he was in Hartford, Connecticut. Prior to that, he played out in LA, in college at the Cal State Northridge. His first scholarship was at the University of Central Florida. So, but this young man is actually, he's seen the world. He's been to Portugal. Was over there with Sporting Lisbon. They tried to keep him when he was 15 years of age, and he said, "Daddy, I want to come home. I'm not doing." He didn't want to do it. It was like, he was, But American kids are different, and I understood that. But the irony of it was, I told my father when I was 15, and he was like, "What you gonna do?" I was like, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to finish high school. I was like, I just want to go overseas and play soccer. And that was 15 years of age, and all of a sudden, your namesake gets the opportunity to go over and live some sort of that dream. My middle son, he's also in college right now playing soccer at up in Piedmont, which is a school just in North Georgia. And so, these guys have, they followed my footsteps. I'm not a LeVar Ball. I'm not really hard on them. I'm just always, they always want me to talk to their friends. You know what I'm saying? Just like I'm talking to you, they wanted me to give advice. They don't want, but ultimately, it's a beautiful, game. It has its opportunities, challenges. I'm blessed. I think, a lot of people look at, how many people have an opportunity to have, just not one child, be able to go and play college soccer on a scholarship, but to be able to have two to play on a scholarship. And out of all the kids I've coached, there's a number of them that, that are playing on scholarship, but there was a lot of them that wasn't. And some of them just gave up the game, you know what I'm saying? But I just looked at it as a vehicle for them, and my kids decided to say they want to continue to press. And so it's been a great ride. It's been great watching it. And I get to see some places I've never seen before to go see them play. And so it's been good.
All right.
The third one is at North Carolina A&T. That's the doctor.
Yeah, and he's an engineer.
He's not worried about he like girls, and he just want to go. He want to be a doctor. He want to be an orthopedic surgeon.
HBCU.
A&T. He went to the HBCU. I'm trying to get the segment. I said, man, this soccer thing don't work. I need to go into HBCU and chill on out.
Absolutely. Shout outs to HBCU.
They don't have boys, and just for the record, they don't have there's no only school that has male intercollegiate soccer for boys is at Howard University. All the other ones after Title IX happened, they shut these programs down. Like A&M, Alabama A&M, a number of schools shut their programs down because of Title IX.
So talk to us about what that is. What is Title IX?
Well, when they wanted to introduce a lot of the girl programming, they had to kind of equalize their programming. And so the easiest sports that, potentially, that they, wasn't, that didn't impact like football, basketball, they went and, grabbed those sports and said, you know what, we're going to shut this sport down to bring this sport in. So there are a number, if there are any listeners out there, just like, you got the volleyball circuit that's going on now. There are a number of HBCU schools with women's soccer. And then I probably sent at this point 3 or 4 girls to some of the HBCU schools like Jackson State Southern, Alabama A&M, and Alabama State that actually have played in the collegiate.
Awesome.
So wait, I just so I understand what Title IX is equal footing, equal funding for both
boys and girls. And it was lopsided. It used to be like more boy athletics than it was girls. So when Title IX came in, this is many years ago, it's probably close to even when I was coming out of school. I don't know, man. Look, I'm trying to add that, but
okay.
They were trying to equalize the intercollegiate sporting, event. So you would subtract some of the boys' sports to kind of make sure that they had the same equivalent of girls' sports.
And they're still going on?
It's done. I mean, it's already been implemented. So now they're not adding any more sports to, if they add a sport, a girl sport has to be added to. If they add a girl sport or a boy sport, a girl sport has to equivalent to that particular program.
Okay. All right. I understand it now.
Well,
but it's not just HBCUs. It's it happened at the NCAA level too. Some NCAA team, they had to drop, like, I'll give you a school, University of Miami. I wanted to go to University of Miami, but University of Miami doesn't have a boys soccer program, but they have a girls soccer program. But they, so they balance it out with all the, the other sports that they do have.
So if they've got the money makers are football, basketball.
Yeah, they're not going to touch those. But
maybe. So if they're going to add a sport, and girls are doing, we just heard on the news this morning, at least I did, on Good Morning? Wasn't Good Morning America. It was something.
With the lawsuit with the money with the girls soccer.
Yes, finally got Equal pay, absolutely.
Yeah, $24 million. Yeah.
Yeah, they finally got equal pay, which I think if you're gonna play the game, and the statistic that really kind of caught my eye was the girls won the national the World Cup.
They won the World Cup 3 times.
And the boys didn't even come anywhere close, and yet they were paying the guys way more money than they were. So that was discrimination right off the bat. They
tried to justify it because the World Cup for men's soccer is the largest sporting event in the world. Like forget the Super Bowl, they can't even touch it, and that's how they try to justify it. But it's not like the U.S. players were playing in the actual championship game. They were playing in the knockout rounds, but they were not playing in the quarterfinals or the semifinals of these tournaments. And the girls, which it has gained popularity, were playing in the finals. I mean, on a regular basis, whether they won or lost, they were representing the United States in a manner that was way bigger than what the men were doing, and they were getting paid less.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's not only in the sport, it bleeds over everything. That's another topic for another day, though.
Dr. Bradford, yes, because we deal with that every day, right? And we're still not there. We're still not there. But we're coming along. We've got some great female pastors that are leading the way, and female bishops that are really taking the church on a ride and showing how effective leadership and ministry can be. So I'm very proud of that.
I can't really see the chat, so I didn't know if there was any other questions that were out there. So that was.
Let's see. Dr. Bradford, you see any?
There are no questions, but there is one about crime and Black on Black crime in other areas. Our Black youth seem to be struggling dealing with crime, gangs, Black on Black crime in other areas. What solutions do you recommend we do now to save some of our most troubled youth, our Black men? What can we do?
So, again, we're not the field level experts on any of those, some of those topics that you all have mentioned. That's why we partner with our sheriff department. Our sheriff is Melanie Maddox here in Al County. And anytime that she kind of brings awareness of like let's talk about this, or we do some type of symposium with the kids. We just did a lock-in for life with some young men right before Christmas with one of the commissioners, and we had about 150 kids, boys, and we brought in some of law enforcement. One of our members is Mawali Davis, which is a civil rights attorney here in Atlanta, to kind of talk about things the do's and don'ts. I have a Superior Court judge, and Judge Mark Anthony Scott, who's one of our members as well, and he's a great storyteller, great orator in regards to a conversation. And so all we can do or continuously do is continue to put on symposiums and be able to make sure that our young men understand the dynamics. I've been pretty torn the last week or two, even with the officer with Wright, what's the young man's first? What's his name? Wright, the first.
Aubrey.
Aubrey Wright, but with her only getting 18 months, and I was like, I got 3 young boys, and and she made the comment. The mother made the comment, said that, how does white women tears oversee Black lives? And that was real. You know what I'm saying, for me. And even though it's just the number of cases. It kind of is just like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, do you lead this country? We can't lead the country. We got to stay, so ultimately we got to get to a point where we have to figure that out. And that's why I'm always looking for partners to figure out how we partner with these organizations, whether it's Noble, which is the national Noble is the national officers, it's with the black office, officers, or just the local police force in regards to let's talk and let's have a real conversation and how do we get this, this rectified and really have a real conversation. So, I apologize if it's not a good answer, but the best answer for me is really continue to partner and figure out the resources to be able to help our community.
I think it's an absolutely great answer because without partnership, where would we be? We're not on an island alone, so we need each other to survive. We need each other's help to forge forward. So thank you for that answer. I know youth from good homes with resources also find themselves making poor decisions sometimes.
Oh yes.
What would you tell parents in order to help them get their youth out of trouble?
I think most of the time you find those situations is the parents pay more attention to your children, but because they have so-called made it or have achieved, and the irony of it is that those parents have probably had challenges in their life, but now that they feel like they've made it, they kind of just let the kids just go. Like here's the PlayStation, here's this, here's that, and then they stop realizing what they really, what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And doors start closing, playing on it. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, what happened to my baby? Oh, he went out the door." And you don't even know he went out the door because you're not paying attention. So I think it's just really having a real conversation. I mean. And I, for one, I would be the first. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, I'm not a guy. I'm a very much a transparent and my children have not been perfect as well. You know what I'm saying? And they've not had any challenges in regards to lights, gas, water turned off, this and that. But I done had to go get one. What you doing? You know what I'm saying? What are you thinking? You know what I'm saying? So. I think it's just paying attention, you know what I'm saying? And you catch yourself slipping sometimes. So, ultimately as they started getting older, as I learned from the first one, the second one, you sat there and say, "Hey man, what you thinking? What you doing?" You know what I'm saying? So the first one, you were like, it's no way that you should be getting in trouble because you got sports, you got everything you need. Hell, you going eating at nice restaurants, you sitting on the floor of the Hawks game, you at the football, you everywhere, wherever you want to be at, deep sea fishing, nice vacations, all this, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, they too, and as the question that you asked is that you really have to have a real conversation and stop really just saying or masking or giving and thinking that that's going to be what love is. Your children really need to have a conversation. Let's sit down and have a conversation. Let's drive in the car and have a conversation and go from there. But that would be my that's the most simplest question or answer I can give you of tonight. That was the easiest question because it kind of resonates with me. You know what I'm saying?
It resonates with most of us, right?
Yeah. That's good. That's good because it's about spending that quality time is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
And sometimes it is get in the car with me and you got them got their attention for the ride. Turn the radio off. Let's talk instead, and providing some emotional support and not just material things.
And we get focused on our personal lives. They we're looking for the next promotion. We're looking for the next dollar. We're looking for and forget that what really matters most is what's next to you. You know what I'm saying? So.
This has been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Coach Deas, thank you for saying yes to our invitation.
Oh, you're welcome.
This February, we're ending February, and next week begins March, right? Women's Month, and we will have none other than Sonia Irby She is the president of NCBW here in Dallas, Fort Worth chapter. And we're excited to have her. Next week, we'll see you 5 o'clock, same time, same space. Bye.
Hang out backstage.
Wow.